Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning. On behalf of the organizers, I would like to welcome you all to this section of Security Token Opportunity to Accelerate GBA Real Estate Market Development. First of all, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Natalie, and I'm very honored to be your MC for this morning. Before we get started, I would just like to take a couple of minutes to remind our participants of the following points. The section will be conducted in English with simultaneous interpretations. So for on-site audiences, please feel free to take the headsets from the table at the entrance. And for online audiences, our microphones and videos will be muted at all times. So if you wish to ask any questions throughout the seminar, please submit your questions through the Q&A function. We may not be able to address all questions during the session, but however, unanswered questions will be replied individually via email after the webinar. So today, we are very honored to have three panelists in this session. Mr. Lau Chen Kong, JP Managing Director, Hong Kong's Business and Asia Valuations and Advisory Service Business of Colliers. Mr. Lau, please. Dr. Raymond Wong, Senior General Manager of Sales Department of Henderson Land Development Company Limited. Mr. Robert Lui, Hong Kong Digital Asset Leader, Audit and Assurance Partner of Deloitte China. And I would also like to introduce our moderator for today, Mr. Ken Low, Co-founder and Chief Strategy Officer of Hong Kong BidX. Welcome, everyone. Mr. Low and our expert panelists will talk about the blockchain application in the real estate and share their insights on the key success factors that issuers and investors need to consider and the opportunities that can be presented to Hong Kong. So before we start our group discussions, may I please invite everyone to stand up for a group photo, please? Thank you. Right, everyone ready? Say cheese and pose to our photographer. Thank you everyone once again, and I'll pass the time to Mr. Low, please. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So I think it would be great for us, for each of us to quickly introduce ourselves and also our expertise around this topic. So probably I can start first, and I will pass the mic to CK, Raymond, and then Robert. So I think for myself is, so I run a digital assets exchange platform in Hong Kong, applying for the SFC license, and we recently also obtained an AIP for the assets management side on the virtual assets. So our firm is basically building up a regulator compliant digital assets infrastructure to help the traditional finance institution to get into the space. And in parallel, I'm also serving different community service, also being an adjunct professor at InvestHK for the FinTech program. So it would be great for everyone here to raise the questions, and also for people on the online to post questions about if you have any inquiries about the security token, virtual assets, or real estate by itself, right? Welcome for everyone to post the questions. So I will pass the mic to CK.
Thank you, Ken. I'm CK Lau, Managing Director in Colliers, responsible for the Hong Kong office and also the Asia Valuation and Advisory Services. By profession, I'm a surveyor with specialization in property valuation and also, investment sales. Over the last 30-odd years, I've been seeing, the ups and downs of the Hong Kong property market, and I'm glad that Hong Kong have introduced the REIT, regime, and right now we're talking about STO tokenization. I would like to highlight my involvement in the REIT code, because in day one before the consultation, I together with other petitioners have been invited by the FSC to look at the REIT regime, and I helped in the drafting of the valuation session of the REIT code, and also subsequently regarding the subsequent involvement of the REIT regime, like the inclusion of development properties, overseas properties, and that we have seen. Right now the REIT regime has been well developed in Hong Kong. Yeah.
I'm Dr. Raymond Wong. My background is a solicitor in Hong Kong. I have been in real estate practice for over 30 years. Just now, I have just obtained a doctorate degree in FinTech from the Hong Kong Polytechnic University. And I have been in Henderson for over 10 years. And so I have the background of lawyers, real estate, and FinTech. My interest is in now is in FinTech because it will be conducive to Hong Kong's real economy and will be the future progress of Hong Kong. I have known these guys for many years, and today I will discuss about the use of FinTech in real estate industry. Currently, I'm having a project with the Hong Kong Polytechnic University to do a research on real estate tokenization in Hong Kong. We have just obtained funding from a charitable fund, and this research project will last for 2 years. So by that time, I will have some progress on how to do real estate tokenization in Hong Kong, and hope that the government's policy will be promoting this line of thinking. Okay.
Thank you, Raymond. I'm Robert, I'm a partner in Deloitte. Originally, I'm mainly focused on the IPO markets and the audit and assurance services. But in the past few years, I spent more time on the virtual assets or digital assets, and now I focus more on the STO. Why we have this interest, and we have our friends here to issue some white paper or thought leaderships related to the virtual assets or the STO. We issued the three white papers, and we will have one more white papers related to the real estate for the STO will be issued very soon, because we believe that this is a very a big market, a very good opportunity here for the issuers or for the investor to know more about how the digital assets can help them to do some fundraising activities through the blockchain, through the technologies, through the STO. That is a very meaningful project for them in the futures. On the other hand, is that we, as a professional firm, Deloitte, we focus on the regulatory framework. In the past, we know that a lot of people may focus on the cryptocurrencies and say that there is some schemed projects, or maybe there is some fraud during the issues of some ICO. We believe that through the STO, because there is some XXX securities like the theme, and we can discuss more later, and also the STO should be being regulated by the SFC in Hong Kong or other regulators in different countries. This is very important to let the investors or the market participant know more about what's meant by the digital assets, or how the virtual assets can be being regulated and being run well in the capital market. So this is a descriptions of what my activities or my work in the past. Thanks.
Thank you. So I think quickly recap around the three panelists shared from CK, Raymond, and Robert. I think number one is just want to give everyone a quick definition about what a virtual asset is in Hong Kong. In some countries, right, this would be regarded as digital assets, which would be interchangeably used, right, as a virtual assets. It depends on which jurisdictions are explicit, number one. Two, I think in Hong Kong, for the virtual assets framework, right, so broadly speaking, there are three different asset classes. One is about cryptocurrency. Mainly, we know from the public it's about like Bitcoin, Ethereum as the major cryptocurrency market. So for the crypto market, right now, the market cap globally is $1 trillion. The second asset class that we today will be very much focusing on is about security token. The difference between security token and cryptocurrency are two in Hong Kong. One, security token is about assets back. No matter the assets is intangible, tangible, and also we today with different professions here, we'll talk about different rights, right? How to attach to the token. So anyhow, it's about assets back. Second is a security by itself, and it's globally recognized as similar standard from major jurisdictions like US, UK, Singapore, and Hong Kong. The third asset class in virtual assets, as we would heard a lot since last year, is about NFT, non-fungible token, and that is mainly related to digital collectibles, some of the in-game assets, loyalty points, etc. So this is the framework for virtual assets in Hong Kong. And I think today topic when we have a group of professionals here from surveyor, from lawyer, and real estate developer, and also accountant. I think there are generally three things we want to explore today. Number one is why security token could be important for the Hong Kong market, given the Hong Kong financial market foundation is mainly from the capital market, right? Fundraising, IPO. That's what Hong Kong is super strong at, and we are very proud to be always on the toppest rank, right, from an international level. But why STO could be helping Hong Kong capital market development? So that will be the first topic we'll discuss further today. The second topic, especially from our real estate guru like CK and Raymond, from their years of experience, and also CK mentioned you are also involved in the risk code in the past. So how would you see the new development of technology, right, could help spurring the regulatory framework in Hong Kong, or how to apply for real estate? And third, I think for the topic, that would be quite interesting, because we also saw different local medias also report yesterday that our financial secretary, Mr. Paul Chen, also mentioned in his diary that there will be an upcoming virtual assets statement, including the vision, the strategy, the roadmap, and also whether Hong Kong would be open up to broader investor, right? So I think that is a very exciting news, and I have seen so many open messages, right, from globally, very curious about what Hong Kong could look like in virtual assets. So I think today is really the great gateway for everyone to get more information around this. So I think the first question I would like to address to Robert, right, as we mentioned about the security token mandate, that could be helping on the fundraising. And just to quote some examples for everyone here. So for example, in US, some of the major funds like KKR, they have already embarked the security token journey. In Singapore, Temasek also has been tokenizing their fund. So we have seen different pioneered market players like the fund houses and some of the major real estate developers also have started this journey for security token. And Robert, from your background in capital market and now more foray into digital assets, so can you share more about the global landscape of how STO would be now?
Okay, thanks, Ken. I think the first to address Ken's questions is that I believe that the Hong Kong government or the FSTB or the financial secretaries is doing well in the past 2 years, because as a professional services firm, we have a lot of discussions with the regulators, say, for example, the FSDC or SFC, to know more what their concern, what their main concerns of not make it more in front of Singapore or in terms of the regulations, or to attract the investors to their markets. In the past, a lot of crypto participants, they are willing to go to the Singapore, but we know a lot of messages or some noise is that Singapore has some regulations here and use a lot of method to attract these market participants to Singapore. But in fact, the infrastructures here is still not established very well in the market. And recently, we received a lot of inquiry, and they noted that Hong Kong will have some new policy or some guidelines on the STO or on the virtual assets development. They are willing to come back to the Hong Kong markets, because Hong Kong is as a international financial center, and we have a lot of good policy at the GBA as a bridge between Hong Kong and China. This is a very attractive place for the investor to come to Hong Kong to develop their markets in virtual assets. And the second point is that what the global landscape is that the perspective of the investor and the perspective of the issuers. This is very important, as the issuers and the investors, they are always is that how to maximize their gain, to maximize their profit. As an issuers, they will think that whether the regulatories, whether the rules and the laws is very clear for them before they issued any STO. I believe in ongoing, for example, use Hong Kong as an example. After the FinTech week, there should be some clear policy or some to encourage the market participant to join the market here. So this is a good news. On the other hand, is that in Singapore and US or in Japan, what Ken mentioned is that we see that there is 2 to 3 real estate related STO has been issued in 2021, and more than 20 exchange or the STO platform all over the world is ready to accept the STO projects. And actually governments or in US, say the Biden in March, he said that for the cryptocurrencies or the virtual assets, they need to try to balance the rewards and the risks. So through the governance and the regulatory's impacts on these kinds of areas, we believe that this market will have very quickly development in terms of the market size and also the development of the regulatory. Have the very good established regulatory framework, I believe that both the digital assets and the STO market can be have a more bright future in the coming 2 to 3 years.
Okay, so what I got is the message from you is you have seen different clients, right, inquiring about fundraising and seeing STO could be a potential route for that, right? And I think with a better regulatory clarity or more market promotion or development in this segment, right? So more issuers, right, could be listening to how Hong Kong could help, right, but not just looking outside.
And one more point is that the investor education is also very important, because that, and make an example here in Hong Kong, most of our investors, when we're talking about digital assets or virtual assets, they will only think about the crypto, the Bitcoin or Ethereum, but not think about the STO, because STO is some related to XAC, and which is a very good channel for fundraising in the capital markets. I believe that have a good education process, how to educate the investor to know more about the difference between the STO and the cryptocurrency is very important. And also, I think maybe we focus on the professional investor first, and then we have some progress, and then focus on the retail investor as well. This is a big market. Maybe for the retail markets or for the real estate market, I can pass to Raymond to talk more, because Raymond is an expert in these kind of areas.
Yeah, so I think that goes to a very interesting angle to hand over to Raymond, because you also have 2 hats, right? From your previously your lawyer background, and also now involving in the real estate developer, pushing more about the sale for this function. So what are the key advantages, right, for security token from a real estate developer perspective?
Real estate token has a number of advantages, which cannot be found in other kind of products. Now, first of all, real estate token can fractionalize a property in whatever amount you like. Now, if you want to buy a property, you have to pay, say, $1 million to buy a property. But if you buy a real estate token, it can be as few as a few dollars, just like Bitcoin or Ethereum. So it lowered the hurdle to enter into the market a lot, and is available for many, many people. So the first advantage is fractionalization. The second is through the blockchain, the transaction can be done globally. So suddenly you will see that, oh, the market is exposed to the whole world, not just in Hong Kong. not just in China, it's the whole world. Now, the accessibility of the token to the whole world's market is a tremendous advantage for this kind of product. It's tremendous, okay. Another thing is the transaction to be done in the blockchain will attract a very low transaction cost. Now, the transaction cost in a normal deal will involve a lot of professionals, for example, lawyers, auditors, accountants, etc. Now, all this kind of information can now be shown in the blockchain system. Total transparency. Total transparency. This is a very major advantage. And the transaction cost will be very, very low because it's done by the computer and it's through the smart contract and it's automated. So it's another kind of huge advantage. Also, the transaction can be done within a few minutes. Now, in a normal deal, you need to do a lot of preparation work. In a normal sale and purchase transaction, normally take 2 to 3 months. But if it's a private fund, you also need to take a lot of time to do the transaction. Now, time is money. Time is money, okay? If you can do a deal within a few minutes, well, it's fantastic, okay? And also, the deal will be done through the blockchain. And everybody knows the blockchain records are immutable, cannot be altered. It will prevent fraud. It prevents fraud. Everybody knows that if you have the private key to the code, you will be the true owner. I need not be afraid that, oh, you are a bad guy who want to deceive me into that transaction. So it's another huge advantage. Now, so also, we can do the deal through automation of contract. Now, we can structure the deal in whatever form we like. In whatever form we like, okay? Just a matter of contract. I can write anything according to my wish. According to my wish. Now, so I can structure a deal. If you want a guaranteed yield, I can give you a guaranteed yield. If you want to have a flexible yield according to the inflation, I can do a product according to that feature. I can structure a deal in whatever form I like. Freedom of contract. Now, under the Hong Kong Limited Partnership Fund Ordinance, which was enacted a few years ago, there is a doctrine of freedom of contract embodied in the ordinance. So if we structure a deal in the form of Limited Partnership Fund Ordinance under the laws of Hong Kong, we can write anything according to the wish of the buyer and the seller. And then we can market the product through the blockchain. Now, under the current system of the stock exchange or under other kind of system, we cannot do that. But through the blockchain, we can do that. This is another huge advantage. So there are a lot of advantages. Now, incidentally, everybody knows real estate suffer a major disadvantage. It's the liquidity. The liquidity. Now, many financial crises arises due to the lack of liquidity. To solve that kind of problem, you need to have access to the market globally with low transaction costs, with total transparency. Under what kind of system we can do that? What kind of system we can do that? Now, we have another option now, blockchain. Okay? Blockchain can give us this kind of advantages. So I can foresee that there will be a lot of potential uses of blockchain. And I foresee that, and in fact, many articles, many researchers have shown that within, say, a few years to 10 years, the blockchain application will explode. This is what Hong Kong should do. This is what Hong Kong should do, okay?
Thank you, Raymond. And I think you have some of the key advantages of why token is preferred, right, to the other formats of the product structuring. And I think in that sense, right, we also need to understand it's about how the regulatory framework could really help enforcing, right, the fintech innovation in the blockchain adoption. So going to CK, while you also mentioned when you do the introduction that you were involved in the risk code drafting in the past, and you have seen a lot of the development for a very important guidance pattern, right, which we would really hope is how this kind of experience can be extracted, right, when we want to develop a new market like security tokens. So CK, can you share a few key developments that Hong Kong could consider in order to embark this fintech innovation in this sector?
Thank you, Ken. You rightly point out that, the regulatory framework is very important. Given my involvement in those past years, actually virtually 2 decades right now, seeing the development of the regime in Hong Kong, the creation of the market confidence, and also the protection that you can give to the investors, I would say are key factors. When we look at, how the Hong Kong government, when they put forward the idea that, in Hong Kong we need to have the REIT market, because, at that time, the US, the Australia, Singapore, they were leading the way. And that, in Hong Kong, we have, I would say, a lot of experience that we can look for. But at the same time, they were cautious, because definitely we don't want to have any problem. The market that have flaws, there are issues that, the investor may not like to see. That's why when the FSC start off the, I would say, the preparation, they have done a lot of research. Go to see different sort of market practice to start with. And then they formulate certain ideas themselves, what should be the themes, of the regulation. But at the same time, I would say they were very diligent, because they go out, to talk to various stakeholders, including, I can see, accountants, lawyers, and us as surveyors. But there are also other professionals like trustee, which may not be that apparent in day one. But all of these professionals, they occupy a central role in helping to create the framework. For example, in those days, I do recall that the tax issue was one of the most debated issues, because Hong Kong, I would say, even today, left behind on that. And that's why I think we need to identify those issues. If we cannot overcome, whether we have other advantages that we need to put in. Going back, to this subject of the real estate, because it is real in the sense that we need to manage it, and that who are going to, provide the investments or development project are critical. That's why the participation of the developers, or in the case of Hong Kong, whether the Hong Kong government will be leading the way. I think, Raymond have certain views, we will be able to listen. But putting my head, as a valuer on, what I can see is that in day one, when the FC want to regulate on this, they need to think of how can they, boost the market confidence, and at the same time give sufficient, protection to general investor mainly, rather than, professional, investor as such. And that's why they need to come up with, I would say, relatively, restrictive, mindset in day one. I think for us, the STO will have more flexibility. And I think this is one of the major differentiator, and where we can see that the transaction cost is low, and that we can do the transaction in a very quick manner. But at the same time, you need to go back to the real world. how would you create values or preserve value? And this is what I would say the values would come in. And that, I mean, under the REIT code, I mean, there are a lot of restrictions or requirements. For example, the experience of the valuer, the rotation of the valuer, the preservation of independence, all these, and also the separation of the valuer role from the estate agent's role. So I think, I mean, some of these experience, I think we can, I mean, so-called share or try to explore how these could be put into our regime and help us, I mean, to create more value for us. Right now, I mean, in Hong Kong, we have seen already 11, I mean, REIT have been listed in Hong Kong with a total market cap of some Hong Kong dollars 160 billion, which is really good. And of course, the largest one would be the Ling REIT. You can see that, I mean, it has, I mean, good, I mean, I think involvement, having more development properties and going overseas. This is how I think it helps, I mean, the Hong Kong financial market. Thank you, Ken.
Thanks, CK. So I think what could be done, right, from our suggestion is how to put up a cross-discipline committee or thought leadership, right, across the professionals, across the stakeholder to help the government regulator to get a more robust, right, and also comprehensive feedback, right, from this. And second is there a lot has been done in the past, right? We don't need to reinvent the wheel. Right, and how we could apply all those learnings to help accelerate the development. I think that will be the key. And around what we discussed today about the risk, right, and a lot for the real estate developers, the thinking is more from a fundraising perspective, right? And we also reckon that there are a number of different fundraising methods, right? Globally, we can have REITs, right? Real estate issuers or developers, they can issue the bond, they can even do IPO. So I think, Robert, from your Deloitte capacity and also your expertise in the capital market, right? So, so what are the key considerations for your client, like from real estate sector, to consider, right, between security token and also traditional fundraising like IPO, bond, and REITs?
Thank you, Ken. I think what the main items that mentioned by our two speakers, Raymond and CK, is that everybody listen, they're talking about the liquidity, the low transaction costs, and also what I will focus is that on the customizations of the products, because this is very important. Raymond has mentioned some points. He is that the real estate developer has different choices when they consider to issue an STO. The first one is that, make an example, is that if this is asked for some capital appreciation, that is some appreciation gain. And the second one is that we ask for some rental yield, that is the investment properties. We develop some old buildings, and then we ask for long-term yield, or we would like the token to be issued as for a capital appreciations. That means like the residential properties that we complete and then sell. This one is quite different, or even we can consider a hybrid instruments, that is debt instruments, including an equity as well. So as an investor point of view, or as an issuer point of view, there is a lot of, maybe they have some conflicts between them, and what their main considerations before they issue an STO, they need to consider many things. What CK mentioned is about the tax exposure is very important as well. For example, your buildings or properties as in Europe or US or in Canada, something like that, you have maybe some global tax. But in Hong Kong, it's more simple, is that capital in nature or in trading in nature. We consider different kind of things, and also sometimes we need to consider about the ultimate shareholders of the companies that you issue the STO, the ultimate shareholders, whether the citizens, there is any tax on them. So when we issue an STO, usually we should ask for some advice from the tax experts as well, other than the legal implications. The second point is that in different countries or different jurisdictions, when you issue STO, you can say it's just like some IPO, because IPO, we need to have some vetting procedures from the regulators. For Hong Kong example, SFC and the Hong Kong EX. But STO, any vetting procedures for them, I think now is quite different for different markets. But I believe in long run, there should be some vetting standardized procedures for them, because like IPO, we have a prospectus to some publish the prospectus to let the investor know the risk factor, the financial informations, or the use of proceeds, all right? The fundraising, the purpose of the fundraisings. At least we need to let the investor know the purpose of this fundraising. And so how the issuers to choose to use the debt to the fundraising, equity, or the STO, from the financial statement, for the financial information perspective, I believe that there is one point the issuers will consider is that whether it will affect their liquidity ratio. That is, you should know that you always to compare the asset size and the liabilities, whether we can meet the any cash flow problems, like maybe some real estate developer in PLC, they will have some problem on the liquidity, the cash flow problem. So this is the main concern. And also, if we take an example, is that the red bottom line, the 三條紅線, right? An example, or some covenants from the gut of the bank. So I think all these things are the issuers we need to consider before they choose to issue fundraising through the STO or using the traditional bonds market or IPO markets. And the last point is that if you consider to using traditional IPO markets, there should be a lot of rules and regulations you need to meet. Use Hong Kong as an example as well. We need to meet the listing rules, right? Say the profit requirement or the cash flow requirement. If you cannot meet this requirement, you cannot consider to do the listing in Hong Kong. And the second part is that if you would like to have a second terms of the fundraising after the IPO, we still need to do some, say, issue some prospectus or some circular to ask for the regulators to approve all these documents. But for the STO, I think the complexity or the rules or the regulations may be much more simple when compared to the listing rules. And also, we can have options for the issuer is that we can just only to use maybe one building or two buildings as a portfolio to issue an STO as an asset back, but not like to list the shares of the whole companies. That means the issuers has the choices. For example, you have the 10 properties or in the portfolio, say say geographical, say US portfolio and also Asia and also Europe. You can choose to use the Asia portfolio to asset back of the STO. So the flexibility, what our speakers mentioned, the issuers has a choice, and also the investor has their own choice after reading the prospectus. So I mean, for the whole system of the STO, the issuers and the investors can have more choices for them to choose whether they invest or not invest. So I believe this is a more good markets for the developments if we have a clear regulatory system in the future.
Thanks, Robert. So I think for the consideration of issuing STO, basically the issuer will go through the similar thought process, right, compared to the traditional fundraising techniques, right? But rather, it gives them a flexibility in choosing the assets class or the project, right, for that. But still, right, there are different challenges, as mentioned, about the ranking standards or the due diligence process, and in order to boost the investor confidence. So shifting a bit of gear, because we also mentioned in a bit more depth, right? And I think we can use this panel to share some of our thoughts when we co-authored a STO real estate white paper last year. And I think, Raymond, you mentioned in the paper last year that there could be different type of rights, right? That could be tokenized and very applicable to the real estate developers. So Raymond, how about you? You share a bit more about these insights in this panel with everyone?
Thank you. when we did the white paper last year, we come to the question how we can structure a deal. How we can structure the deal. Now, the first question is, from the buyer's point of view, what I'm buying. What I'm buying. Okay. Now, it's quite an academic question. Now, according to the academics, property rights have three kinds. First, right to transfer. Right to transfer. It concerns the ownership of the asset. The second is the right to use. It's similar to a lease or a license to use the property. And the third one is the right to the economic interest. Right to economic interest. It concerns the right to the income stream from the property. For example, rental, sale proceeds, etc. It is similar to a stock or a REIT trust unit, okay? So we can, the first question when an issuer want to issue a real estate token, he has to consider this kind of questions. So before a issuer issue a real estate token, he has to think about what exactly I'm selling to the buyer. And this is the question that he has to ask. And in fact, there are four kinds of legal structures that can be done. First is a direct issuance of the token on the blockchain. For example, the Thailand government has just issued a digital bond on blockchain. It's a direct issuance on blockchain. It's the simplest one. The second one is the trust. The second one is a trust. Trust using the blockchain, for example, if I have a bottle of wine, which is unique, okay, I want to transfer it through the blockchain. How can I do that? I create a trust. The custodian of the wine issue a token, and the token represents the rights to the wine. And then the token you trade in the blockchain. Everybody who got the token then can come to the custodian and then get the bottle of wine. Now, we can use the NFT to do that, okay? This concerns the right of ownership. And the third one is company shares, okay? Company shares. You can issue a company shares, for example, a Cayman Island company. The blockchain itself will be the register of shareholder. That under the Cayman Island law, company law, the register of membership can be done electronically. However, under the Hong Kong company law, we cannot do that. Okay, we need to do it on paper. So under the Hong Kong company law, we can do that. But under Cayman Island law or BVI law, we can do that. So the blockchain itself will be the register of shareholder. So that kind of structure will create a record of economic interest, as I mentioned, okay? And the fourth one will be the limited partnership fund ordinance. You create a limited partnership fund. The general partner will be, for those who come from the financial industry will know, under a limited partnership fund, there will be a general partner and limited partners. The limited partners are the passive investor. They just inject the money, and the general partner will bear all the responsibility, including the running of the business, distribution of the fund, the income, will disposal of assets, etc. The active one will be the general partner. They will charge a fee or the performance fee, okay? They will earn a certain of income. For the passive one, they just inject the money and do nothing. Just wait for the financial outcome. So this kind of structure will be perfect to deal with the right to economic interest. So this will be four kinds. I can foresee that there will be four kinds of structure under the laws of Hong Kong. Under European law, there will be many, many different kinds because the law of the European countries have different method to deal with blockchain. Okay, but I will not go into detail in this seminar. Okay, well, under the Hong Kong law, we can do that in four ways. Okay.
Thank you very much. So I think hopefully everyone in the room and also online could have a more in-depth understanding about how the legal implications, right, when we want to issue the security token, and these are something that the devils are in the details, and we would really need to pay attention to that. And I think last but not least, by also addressing to CK into a broader topic, and I would like to have the other two panelists to join later on, is for the recent I would say update from our Paul Chan's diary about Hong Kong has points to become an international virtual asset center, and he particularly mentioned that there are some clear vision or strategy to look through. And CK, as you have been involved in different community services with Hong Kong government, including the member for Lantau Development Project and also the Housing Authority, how would you see the upcoming policy could help the Hong Kong and also the broader GBA development?
I think the government vision and also the policies to be implemented are critical because they are driving the direction. And that, as we can see, Hong Kong together with the Greater Bay Area is a huge area. I mean, in terms of size of population, in terms of our GDP, it's much bigger than a normal country. And that, as we can see here, as Robert and Raymond have mentioned, I mean, we are focusing upon real estate right now. What the economic benefit that we are focusing upon would be, like, for example, the rental income in the REIT regime. And that, as we mentioned, we have a lot of flexibility here because, I mean, we are growing as a whole area here. And the GBA is, I mean, on the top priority of the central government that we want to grow. And that there are so many real estate development projects that we'll be looking at. For example, right now, if you just look across Hong Kong, the Northern Metropolis, I mean, vision, or the project, plus the Lantau Tuomo vision, a lot of investment would need to be put into them, including railways, I mean, land formation, and actually the construction of the buildings. So if we are looking from this direction, we have a lot of projects, no matter they are income-producing projects right now, or projects that we, I mean, as an area that we want to focus upon more. For example, residential, although it is what I would call very old in that sense, but we are still lacking of it. Senior housing development, we still need a lot of them. And therefore, for the Hong Kong government, you'll be seeing that we want to develop, I mean, more new industries around the, I mean, high tech, or for us right now, the FinTech. All of these, I mean, need the real estate to support it. And that, I mean, for the Hong Kong government, I think they need to change the mindset. I think, I mean, Paul Chan needs to drive that. Because no longer will we just looking at, oh, we have a piece of land in the new territories, and that we just put it up for tender sale, finish, full stop. This is what has been done in the past. But in the near future, I think Hong Kong would need to share or look at the experience, what Shenzhen have done in the past 20 or 30 years to create these sort of high-tech park. They select the right operators to provide policy or incentive for talents to come in. This is what our chief executive, I think, I mean, he will address it a lot in Wednesday's, I mean, policy address. So if you look at it this way, Hong Kong, I mean, I would say, I mean, being leading in many areas of innovation, pop tech and our discussion of, I mean, STO, I mean, today, I think we have a lot of experience and a lot of skill sets that we can share and try to, I mean, as a group, to develop this idea further and provide the framework, I mean, for the STO, I mean, to become flourish. Yeah.
Thanks, CK. So as a closing remark, I would like to have each panelist probably use 1 minute to share what is the one thing, right, that you believe is very crucial in order to make our today's topic, right, into a mainstream discussion in the forthcoming years? So probably, Robert, you can start first.
I believe the most important is that what I mentioned before is the investor educations. And also we have the very clear rules and regulations for the digital assets, virtual assets, or even for the STO. We should have some STO guidelines for the issuers to follow, for the investor to know. So we have a very clear information that the issuers will disclose that in the prospectus. So they have the protections. On the other hand, is something related to the insurance or the custodian of the digital assets. That is also very important because this is a little bit different when compared to our shares that we trade before. Everyone knows the mechanism. So all in all, we come back to the educations in relations to the investment, and also they should have people should have some knowledge about the technology, maybe the blockchain. I believe the blockchain technology will have very impactful to our citizens in our living environment in the future.
Thank you, Robert. So I heard it's about investor education, right? Is what your takeaway for that. So how about you, Raymond?
I think the government's support and the clear guidelines will be very important. Because at this moment, we do not have any law of blockchain. We do not have any law on blockchain. How we can issue the token on blockchain representing a financial asset in Hong Kong, we do not have a real example in Hong Kong now. We do not have a real example. Now, if Hong Kong government can set an example, maybe the Hong Kong government can follow the example of Thailand government, issue bond on blockchain, then everybody knows. There will be a real example, okay? Then other people will follow the suit. It's the simplest and easiest way. And how we can balance the role of the issuer and the investor will be another important question. Now, under the stock exchange, we have the listing rules, okay? Now, the blockchain will be similar to a stock exchange, but it is in the form of smart contract, etc. Okay. Now, I don't think that it will be totally unregulated. I don't think that is good. We at least have some kind of law on that. How we can regulate it will be a big question mark. Okay. Maybe we can start the easiest one first. For example, bond. And then the more complicated one can come later. And then see how it works and then make further progress. Okay. I think that will be quite a number of years to make it perfect. Okay.
Thank you, Ken. What I have in mind is, the active participation. Because we talk about the government, the regulators, the investors, but we have a lot of professionals, that we need them to, actually engage in this venture. I've mentioned about, the lawyers, no matter they're taking account of the accounting stuff, the taxation stuff, the lawyers taking about different property interests, the capital flow, the investment banker arranging the deals, the property valuers like us, to provide the transparency of the property values, to look at property values when they acquire or dispose. All of them are important. And that I can see that with more capital flowing into this sector, the developers, the real estate manager, the contractor, they all have their role to play. And this is critical because as more money come into the real estate can be, constructed or designed or used in a much better way to suit the future of Hong Kong and the future of China. And that's why I would encourage, our professionals to engage in this exercise and devote their intelligence and effort in making it much bigger.
Thank you, CK. I think traditionally we can see that financial industry and also real estate sector are the two most important pillars in witnessing Hong Kong's path development, right? And I think today's topic, hopefully we can give you more insights about how these two sectors can converge together for the fintech innovation, right? So thanks everyone for your attention, for people in the room and also online, and happy to reach out further after this session with you all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Low, and thank you for our expert panelists. Thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, our session this morning has come to an end. We hope that it has been a very fruitful morning for everyone. So, if you have any further information, please feel free to contact the team of InvestHK. So, thank you all once again, especially our distinguished guests and our speakers for the insights, and for all our participants online and on-site joining us today. We have other fabulous programs coming up in the afternoon, so I'll see you all after lunch. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.